Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It is still in the description below. It is still your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we discuss the 2015 revision of the Omega Seamaster 1200M Ploprof, named after the 1971 Seamaster 600 that was nicknamed Plongeur Professionnel, or Ploprof, basically professional diver in French. The modern-day Ploprof debuted as a steel model with a solid case back and to date in 2009. For 2015, the watch gained ceramic bezel inserts, titanium construction, a new master chronometer movement with a display case back, and the date went away. So this is the 2015 to present version of the watch. Dimensionally, it hasn't changed, but it is in grade 5 titanium. Grade 5 is great because it's hypoallergenic and lighter than steel, just like grade 2 stuff is, but it's also harder and more scratch resistant than steel, which grade 2 is not. When you see polish, you know you're looking at grade 5 because the grade 2 stuff generally can't be polished well. Now, 48 millimeters is the distance across the wrist, and that's what you need to think of here. When you think of this watch, remember a Rolex Daytona on solid end link bracelet is going to be 50.5 millimeters across the wrist, so even a little bit more than this. Don't be afraid of the listed diameter of 55 millimeters because it's down the wrist, it's not across the wrist. It is thick, however, at 18.5 millimeters with a 24 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now I throw it on my wrist of 16 centimeters. You can see what I mean about it being short across the wrist. I mean, look at that. It's not overhanging, and you can see down the barrel that there is clearance on both sides, meaning I think you could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference, and that's even on this full Shark Hunter mesh titanium bracelet. Check it out from over the top, though, and you see what I mean about it being long down the wrist. It's not oval, but it has the same general dimensions, lengthwise and crosswise, as a big titanium egg. And then it is a very thick watch. You can see that. This is not something you wear with a tight sleeve. If you have any doubts about a sleeve clearing this watch, your doubts are probably justified. Now, there are a couple of different treatments of this watch. I think the best include this bracelet because it is of outstanding quality. And unlike a strap, a bracelet never needs to be replaced. It's also fairly flexible. As you can see, there are many removable links on each side of the bracelet. So if you want to fine-tune the fit, you're going to have no trouble doing so. Don't feel like you're locked into the dimensions because it's chainmail. Now, these are made in a big carpet woven together. They're then cut to the shape and size necessary for the watch. The edges are then machined to deburr them, and the result is beautiful. They also breathe well on the wrist. You also get one of Omega's best diving clasps. Here you can see it is a single fold deployant, also titanium, and you've got the Hippocampus, Seamaster Professional, and then you've got two different methods of adjusting here. You have a push-button slider, so you can see that there are several stops in there, really quite a few. And that allows you to incrementally size it if you just want to fine-tune the fit. And then there is the traditional fold-out all-or-nothing dive extension. And between the two of these, you're getting almost 50 millimeters or 2 inches, so quite a bit of flexibility built into that. And that's before you even get into the removable links in the bracelet. Though I should mention that with the removable links, these are pins and sleeves, so you will need a block and punch if you want to size that at home. While the watch looks like it might have a highly proprietary lug system, it's actually a 24 millimeter spacing. So if you've got a 24 millimeter strap, standard spring bars will work here. Take a quick look. Helium escape valve. If they can make a flush helium escape valve on this, why not the Diver 300 meters in the planet oceans? Omega, everyone's wondering. Also important, this wasn't on the original Plongeur Professionnel of the 70s, which Omega declared was simply so hermetically sealed that helium could not get in, therefore it need not get out. Well, it looks like with time they've adjusted that expectation. I think the ultra deeps work that way today, but I think a helium escape valve is still the safest route to evacuating gas that may build up inside the watch during saturation dives. The remarkable system here has always been a feature of the Ploprof since the 1970s. You have a little plunger for the plongeur, and of course, it allows you to unlock the bezel. The bezel will rotate in both directions, but this is still an ISO 6525 diver, or 6425 diver, I should say, because when you release the plunger, now it won't move, so your timing reference isn't going to shift. Big change from the first modern 1200 meter Ploprof. The sapphire cap over the bezel here has been replaced by a ceramic insert, though the new summer blue does include a sapphire cap. These 2015 models, they use the ceramic inserts that are highly scratch resistant. And also, we're going to go to a lume shot here. You can see you don't lose anything, as the full bezel is still luminescent as it was on the sapphire capped version. You've got differential lume on the bezel triangle, the bezel index, and the minute hand, so you can quickly judge those two timing references relative to each other. And then you've also got a mobile and loomed seconds hand in the dark, which is important because I do think it's necessary to know whether your backup dive timer is functional. Most deep dives involve very little light, so it is important to have all three hands luminescent, in my opinion. One feature that hasn't changed a whole lot since the original is the structure of the crown, which, a little bit like Panerai system, offers you a lot more protection than a standard shouldered crown guard. Now, you thread everything out, and you can see that there are these two sleeved columns on the edge, so the whole thing is basically a sliding guard for a crown that can be used for setting everything in sync. And you can see now I've activated hacking seconds, but there's also an intermediate setting position where you'll note the watch keeps ticking, but now I can move the hour hand independently. So if I'm traveling, that's really handy. And I won't lose any seconds. If I've set my watch to a reference time, I'm going to keep that reference. And you can see it really is quite a remarkably built, this little smudge on the side, don't worry, that's not damaged the case. Really a remarkable system here. And the crown is completely unique to the model with a combination of media blast and polish. And then you can see the same treatment applied to the edge of the conical bezel. We have recesses in satination. It's actually a brushed satination there. And then the raised elements outboard are polished. The case itself features vertical satination with a polished bevel that runs circumferentially just around the edge. And then the dial is a beautifully rich black lacquer with applied Omega logo, marquee, and indices. A big change out back. I'll open this all up again. But we got a display case back on the second generation Ploprof 1200 meter. So now you're looking at caliber 8, 9, 12. So this is the master chronometer. Let me get that smudge off here. Got a lot of smudges on this watch. This is the master chronometer version of the 8500 with the date removed. So automatic winding with bidirectional action. We have two barrels in series, a 60-hour power reserve, and the nice thing about barrels in series is you get a very flat torque curve due to phased mainsprings, so there's a lot of plateau. The only time the watch runs really fast is when it's right at its maximum wind, and the only time it really slows to any appreciable degree is just before it stops. So with the twin barrels in series, yes, we get a 60-hour power reserve, but the real idea there is a super flat torque curve. Now we've also got basically a magnetic system to over 15,000 Gauss, so we've got elements like anti-magnetic escapement, balance staff, and silicon hairspring. We've got a full balance bridge with a free sprung balance for shock resistance, and with the free sprung balance, a more precise adjustment. It does meet all the COSC chronometer standards, but this 38 joule movement goes even further. The master chronometer standard, created by Omega and the Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology, or Measurements, it is a fully cased up test. So the assembled watch is tested in 6 positions. It's tested for temperatures, position, durability, winding efficiency, power reserve, of course, chronometry, and anti-magnetism. All of that equates to a much more durable watch, and yes, a more accurate movement because it goes above and beyond the COSC. Now, the movement here features a coaxial escapement, it's the latest tri-level, so it is a direct and indirect impulse system that uses tangential friction between the impulsing and impulsed surfaces rather than a conventional Swiss lever's sliding friction. This was invented by George Daniels in 1974, sold by him to Omega, or I guess I should say licensed to him by Omega, because he retained enough of the intellectual property to keep making them themselves, and so does Roger Smith. But the system was industrialized by Omega in 1999, and then with the arrival of the 8500s in 2007, really perfected, living up to its original boast of increased power reserve, reduced maintenance requirements, and improved chronometry, and I've known these to run to better than 1 second a day, so it really does deliver. And you can see just below the balance bridge, there is a secondary bridge, and you can see a little bit of that coaxial system in action. Also, it's got a quirky beat rate of 25,200 vibrations per hour, which has less to do with the coaxial, I'm told, and more to do with a swatch group-wide silicon hairspring beat rate. So that's what's going on in that neck of the woods. This watch is a technical tour de force and ergonomically surprising. If you love it, reach out to me. I am T Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.